We got a question
We're going.
from somebody.
What is the question? It's like couple versus question.
Boom. So, yeah, couple versus question. This won't be something we do all the time, but occasionally we get questions and we think they can make good topics for videos. And so this was one we got.
Here it goes. What was the question?
So the question was from our good friend Nick Miser. Nick, if you've been around the couple versus cardboard thing for a little while, we did an interview with him. I will try and put a link down in the what have you.
Yeah.
But we did an interview with him, and he was doing his PhD in anthropology of Dungeons and Dragons groups. And so he just shot us a random question on Facebook, and he said, if you guys had to recommend one dungeon crawl style board/card game, which would it be? Because you do, or I would request that you do. So dungeon style board or card game.
So what does that mean?
Basically, there's kind of this genre, if you will, within kind of board games in general, and I think it comes a little bit out of the idea of Dungeons and Dragons and kind of that kind of thing, where you have these dungeon delves, where you're an adventurer and you're either trying to defeat an evil monster or save the princess or get the treasure or something along those lines. Yeah. The idea of these dungeon delves or dungeon crawl games are that. Now, most of them started out as things like HeroQuest. So HeroQuest is a great example where you just kind of have a bunch of minis on the board and you're moving them around and you're killing a bunch of stuff and you're getting treasure and you're trying to get to the goal. But they've kind of morphed and evolved, and now even in and of itself, there's kind of a whole genre where it's kind of dungeon-related stuff. It's kind of a big question because if you think about it, there's been a lot of games, even just in the last couple of years, or even in just this last year that have come out that have this kind of dungeon theme. You have Dungeon Roll, Dungeon Run, you have Dungeon Pets, you have kind of the reverse of that with something like Boss Monster. So these are even just games that have come out recently that have that kind of theme, feel thing going on.
So what ones do we like?
Well, I pulled some of the ones that we have, and then I also have some other thoughts just along the way.
Okay.
So the first one, in the itty bitty tiny dice game version, we have Dungeon Roll. This is the Kickstarter version. It looks a little bit more like a normal kind of. I'm going to put that right in front of your face, Cheryl.
Perfect.
It looks a little bit more like a normal treasure chest. This one looks like a mimic, as you can see. Right, you can see the teeth. That's a really fun game. It plays, I think, up to 4. You can play a game in something like a half hour, and it's really simple. It's just a dice game, and it's not super complex, but it does take the theme of dungeon delving in a really cool way. So that's one that I would recommend. 2, another one that we enjoy is Munchkin, which is probably the most controversial in some sense out of these games. Controversial not because it's controversial like it killed somebody's parents or anything, but like controversial like it's some people really love it and some people hate it. Like hate it as a game.
Yeah. So why do you like it?
Why do I like it? I think it's a fun. It's like a party-ish game. You could. I mean, it takes usually a long time to play, something like an hour and a half. If you have a kind of a normal number of people, which is like 3. If you have 3 or 4, it plays really well at 3 or 4. Anything past that, it starts to really bog down. I think it technically plays up to 6. But it's a fun party game. It has a lot of puns. If you're used to, or if you play Dungeons and Dragons at all, it has like a gajillion puns for you to enjoy. So it's that.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah.
I haven't played it very much. You used to play it all the time.
I did. We had Munchkin Night. We regularly play it. I will admit that it's not my favorite game. It's one of those games where you can definitely end up behind everybody. and you don't necessarily
Can't catch up.
Yeah, you can't catch up. It's really based on the kind of pull of the cards, and it's the kind of randomness that people don't really enjoy. It's fun-ish, you know.
And silly, and
Yeah,
you can like goof around with it.
right.
Yeah.
So that's another game that we also enjoy that is
Yeah.
kind of dungeon-esque themed. One game that we don't have that I would totally buy
Oh.
if I had the right group. It's one of these games that can fall into that category we've talked about before of games that are kind of
A
a
hobby.
hobby unto themselves. But it's called Descent. I hear fantastic things about Descent. I really wish that I could play it, but also it's one of those games where I think it usually plays better if you have you can play it a bunch. So that's where it kind of has that kind of be its own hobby thing. In addition to that, it also has I think now they have like 4 or 5 expansions for it for the second edition, which are on. Like if you like a lot of people when they play Dungeons and Dragons, they kind of play it for the whole like killing and not for the like role playing. They just kind of want to kill a bunch of things and gain more experience and kind of min-max their characters to death. And that is basically just that. You kill a bunch of stuff and gain treasure and gain experience and then get more abilities to kill more stuff. It's fun. And there's no misgivings about it, unlike sometimes with Dungeons and Dragons.
All right.
Yeah. Are you bored?
No.
Is this boring you?
No.
Do you hate this? Because we're gonna recommend one that you really like.
I know.
Okay.
I see it. It's sitting over there.
The one other thing that I will mention, just because if I had to pick one, it would probably be the one, but it could just be because my childhood nostalgia. HeroQuest. Like I really just want to play HeroQuest.
I know.
There was the Kickstarter that kind of went really awry recently, which wasn't really for HeroQuest, and that made me sad, and I really wanted to play it because I really want to play HeroQuest again. What are you saying?
Well, you can't.
I know I can't because it's it's like
Because I mean,
no, because it's like $200 on eBay or whatever.
I know exactly why.
Okay, all right. So here's the one. This is the one, and you like this, so you can say why you really like this.
Okay.
Okay.
That's so much pressure.
It's not that much pressure. So this is the one. So if I had to recommend one, because I think it's very general, it doesn't require like a dungeon master, like something like Descent does. It doesn't. It's fairly simple. You can play it with children. You can play it with grown humans.
People.
It's a whole lot of fun, and it has a kind of campaign-y thing. It is Mice and Mystics.
Yeah.
So what's Mice and Mystics? And tell me why I would want to play that.
So it's a dungeon crawl game.
Yeah, it's a dungeon crawl. You get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a dungeon crawl game, and you play these characters. It's cooperative.
Yeah.
Which we love.
Yeah.
And you play mice.
Yeah.
Who are people that were transformed into mice. And
Yes.
that's about as much of the story that I'll talk about.
Yeah, that's as much as you need to really go into.
And you follow a story of their adventure to save the kingdom, basically. Yeah. So we're about halfway through it.
Yeah.
And
we
really love it.
Yeah, we just keep getting other things that get in our way from playing, but it's so much fun. And it's I mean, obviously, it's a little fiddly. And
there's a lot of bits.
And it's pretty expensive for as few minis as you get. But the one thing I will say is that I really enjoy the story. I think it's a lot of fun that you have that kind of dungeon crawl, and it doesn't require like an opponent. And in general,
and it's like really beautiful.
Yeah.
Like the artwork is really well done. Yeah. The miniatures are really cool.
Yeah.
And people have done some really great paint jobs on their miniatures, and I would really love to do that to ours at some point.
Yeah.
But we're not starting there because we haven't done miniature painting.
Right.
We're starting with something else because we like these ones too much to like have them be our testers.
Right. So I think that would be both of our answers. Like if you were to pick one, that would probably be yours, right?
Yeah, well, that would be also the only one that I know of that's a dungeon crawl.
That's
like
fair.
when you say, what's a dungeon crawl? I'd be like,
it's like
Mice and Mystics.
Mice and Mystics, yeah.
I don't know, like what else?
Right. So that would be totally my pick is Mice and Mystics. It has a very general audience that it can appeal to.
Yeah.
The only downside could be something like a campaign, which could be a little bit harder if you're not looking to do something on an ongoing basis, or if you needed something as a one-shot. So some of those other ones might be a little bit better for something like that. But what I was going to say is, do you have others that you would recommend? You who are not Nick Miser. Internet.
I mean, Nick can say what he likes
Nick
to.
could also do that. That's true. But it would be hard for him to make a recommendation to himself.
Yeah, but he could recommend something to us.
That's true. So do you have other ones that you love, other ones that you think would be really fun for Nick to try out? You should totally write them down in the comments, either on coupleversuscardboard.com or on YouTube. And that's what we have.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed. Nick, I hope that's helpful. And otherwise, we'll talk to you guys later.
Keep playing awesome games.